We stood there longer than we should. Our time forgot what to do. Every word we almost said felt dangerous and true. We've been here before, I know, at the edge of what we are. Too close to walk away, pain, too far to start again. We tried to make it simple once, tried to call it right or wrong. But love was never built for last. You can stand on very long. He smiled like nothing mattered much, like this was easy to defend, and nothing real ever lets you go with an easy ending. I don't need to win tonight, I don't need to prove who's right. I just need to know if you still feel what's keeping us alive. There's no easy ending for a love like this, not with all these years between us, not after every kiss. You don't walk away untouched, you don't leave without a scar. Some stories fade in silence, ours just breaks your heart. We've learned how to be careful now, how to say just enough. We've learned how to call it letting go when it still hurts too much. I see it when you turn away, the look you try to hide, like you're already halfway gone, but something makes you stay. I won't tell you this is easy, I won't say we'll be okay, I won't catch this up in pretty words to make the feeling fade. If love is standing right here now, between the truth and fear, let it be exactly what it is, unclear. We don't need a final line, we don't need to pretend. Some love doesn't end with closure, it just fades. Maybe love was never meant to end with understanding. Maybe it just teaches us how much we were standing in. If this is all we're left with now, if this is where we land, then let me say this honestly, I still understand. We don't rush into each other now. We move like time is listening. Every word is chosen carefully. Every silence means something. We learned how love can bruise the heart, how easy faith can break. So we stand here a little guarded, afraid of our mistakes. I've known love that burned too fast, left nothing when it was gone. I've known love that needed proof, that never lasted long. But this feels different in my hands, like something built to last. Not chasing what the future holds, not running from the past. I don't need to hear the words, I don't need a reason why. I just feel it when you're near me, something quiet inside. This kind of love doesn't shout, doesn't promise miracles or try to hedge its bets. This kind of love doesn't need to be explained. It just stays when everything else quietly walks away. Carried years behind our eyes, stories we don't always tell. We've learned how to smile in public while fighting private hells. But here with you the weight feels less, like something's finally clear, like I don't have to hide the truth of why I'm still here. look like something real, it looks like you. We don't need to race the clock, we don't need to make a sound. All I know is standing here feels solid now. This kind of love doesn't burn and fade away. It doesn't need the spotlight or the games we used to play. This kind of love feels steady, feels true. It's not the love we dreamed about, it's the love we grew into. Maybe love was never meant to feel like fire all the time. Maybe it learns to be a shelter after walking through the storm. If this is what love becomes when illusions fall apart, then I'll take this quiet truth with all my heart. This kind of love doesn't ask to be saved. It doesn't fear the passing years or the choices that were made. This kind of love still feels like home somehow. If this is all love ever is, then this kind of love is enough. This kind of love. Never saw it coming close. It didn't knock, it didn't shout. Love didn't end with one hard truth. It faded slowly without a sound. We learned to smile through little cuts, call the bleeding just a phase. We didn't know that this was how love quietly breaks. Broke between unfinished thoughts, between I'm fine and maybe later, between the nights we turned away and mornings that felt cold. We stopped asking simple things, stopped touching without a reason. Somewhere in all that careful living, we crossed the line without seeing. Doesn't fall all at once. It learns to bend before it breaks. It say. What we felt, we said this is just how it goes. While something inside us slipped, we carried on like nothing changed, like love was still intact. But love remembers every moment. You don't give back. I see it now in hindsight. Traded honesty for peace and called the distance breathing. We didn't mean to hurt ourselves, we just tried to survive. But love doesn't live on safety alone, it lives on being alive. We don't lose love in one goodbye, it's lost in all the times we stay. When staying means we slowly let each other slip away. This is how love breaks, not with anger, not with blame, but with patience stretched too thin and silence wearing names. This is how love breaks, not because it didn't care, but because we stopped reaching when it needed us there. Maybe love doesn't fail us, maybe we fail love first. Maybe we protect our hearts so well that we forget what hurts. If love needs courage to survive, more than comfort, more than time, then maybe this is how it breaks, one quiet compromise at a time. This is how love breaks, when we're too tired to fight, when being careful matters more than holding on tight. This is how love breaks, not all at once, but slow, until you're standing in the pieces, wondering how you didn't know. Love doesn't shatter when it ends, it fades before it goes. And now I know the quiet truth. This is how love breaks. This is how love breaks. There's a place I still remember, not a street, not a name, just a moment frozen in time before everything changed. We stood there without knowing what we were stepping into. All we felt was a pull of something too honest to refuse. We didn't plan on getting lost, didn't see the edge ahead. Love felt lighter than the truth, easier than what was said. Your hand slipped into mine like it had always known. That was where we stopped being careful, where we let go. We didn't call it destiny, we didn't call it fate. We just felt something open that wouldn't wait. That was where we felt, not in fire, not in flame, but in quiet understanding before love had a name. That was where we felt, between the fear and the truth, before the world taught us what love could do. Without the safety net, without a reason why. Every glance felt dangerous, every touch felt right. We didn't ask how long it lasts, or what it might become. We only knew in that moment that we were undone. Time didn't want us what it takes to hold on to something real. It didn't tell us love grows heavy when hearts refuse to heal. But even now, when years have passed and so much has changed, I still feel you standing there in that same space. We don't live there anymore, we don't go back somehow, but memory doesn't ask permission to come around. That was where we fell, where the ground gave way beneath, where wanting turned into loving before we could breathe. That was where we fell, not knowing how far we'd fall, just two hearts stepping forward before building a wall. Maybe love always begins right where caution ends. Maybe we don't fall apart later, we just fall again and again. If I had one moment left to choose, one truth I'd never tell, I'd still walk back to that place where we fell. That was Some places never leave you, even when you walk away. They live inside the quiet, like moments that refuse to fade. Slowly where I stand, like time is holding out its hand. I've learned to live between the lines, between the yours and never mine. I don't chase answers anymore, I don't knock on every door. But something in me still believes in what we almost were. I've watched the seasons turn and fade, heard every promise time has made. I've seen love leave without a sound, come back just to look around. I don't ask you where you've been, or why it took this long to feel. I only know what's still alive is quiet, deep and real. I don't need the truth right now, I don't need your reasons why. I just need to know if you can feel what won't say goodbye. This is a heart that waits, not because it doesn't know, but because some love runs deeper than letting go. I've learned to stand alone, I've learned to bend, not break. Still after all these years, this is a heart that waits. I've walked away when I should stay, stayed when walking felt the same. I've called it strength, I've called it pride, but some nights it's just time. I don't believe in perfect ends, or love that never bends. I just believe in holding on when something still makes sense. I see it when you hesitate, like you're afraid of being late, as if love has an hourglass and we've already lost the sand. But I don't measure what remains, or count the cost of every scar. I just know my heart still knows exactly who you are. We don't need to name the past, or decide what this should be. All I need is one true moment of honesty. This is a heart that waits, not for miracles or signs, just for you to meet me here in your own time. I don't ask you to stay forever or promise me you'll with a heart that waits. This is a heart that waits, not afraid of time or pain, not holding on to who you were, but who you remain. If you ever turn back toward this place, if you ever feel the same, you'll find me right where love still lives, with a heart that waits. If you listen closely, you'll hear a heart that waits. Night feels heavier than it should, like it's holding its breath with us. Your eyes won't meet mine anymore, but you haven't walked away just yet. We've been standing at this line so long, afraid of what comes next. Every word feels like goodbye, even when it's left unsaid. I know we've said too much before, said things we can't erase. I know the years have changed us both, left their mark, left their trace. But I still feel something in this room, something that hasn't gone, like love is still holding on quietly, even when it feels wrong. I don't need the truth explained, I don't need the past undone. I just need to know if you still feel what hasn't disappeared. Don't say this is the end, not while we're still standing here, not while your hand is shaking and your eyes are full of fear. If love is barely breathing, if it's hanging by a thread, let it have one more moment. Don't say this is the end. We've learned how silence fills the space where words don't want to go. We've learned how hearts can guard themselves from feeling what they know. But every time you turn away, you hesitate just long enough to tell me there's still something here that hasn't given up. I'm not asking you to promise me that everything will be alright. I'm wants to hold on. We don't need to know tomorrow. We don't need to be sure. All I need is to believe this love is still secure. Don't say this is the end when there's still so much unsaid. When the silence hurts more than the words inside your head. If we're tired, let us rest. If we're broken, let us bend. But don't close the door tonight. Don't say this is the end. Maybe love doesn't leave all at once. Maybe it fades in pieces. Maybe hearts don't really stop caring. They just run out of reasons. If this is fear talking now, if it's pain we're listening to, then don't let it decide for us what love still wants to do. Don't say this is the end, not with everything we've been, not with all these years between us and all the truth within. I don't need a guarantee, I don't need to know when. I just need you here tonight. Don't say this is the love is still alive somewhere between the cracks and bends. Let it breathe a little longer. Don't say this is the end. The room is dim, the night stands still, like it knows we've both been here before. Your shadow moves across the wall. I don't recognize us anymore. We speak in half-forgotten lines, careful not to wake the past. Every word hangs in the air, afraid this moment won't last. We don't touch the way we used to, like we're scared of what we'll feel. There was a time our hands knew better what was broken, what was real. Now we move in quiet circles, trying not to cross the is between us in the spaces we don't define. I don't need the lights turned on, I don't need the truth too bright. Some things only show themselves in the low light. This is love in the low light, not the fire we once knew. No promises, no open wounds, just me and you. It's the kind that doesn't shout, doesn't need to prove it's right. It's what's left when everything fades. Love in low light. We've carried years inside our eyes, learned how to smile and look away. We've survived more than we ever said, more than we'd admit today. I don't ask you where this goes, I don't ask you what it means. I just feel the truth we share in what's unseen. There's a tenderness in silence now, something careful, something slow. We don't chase the spark we lost, we let the embers glow. If love has learned to soften here, if it's learned to take its time, then maybe this is what remains after the shine. We don't need to name the past or pretend we're not afraid. Some feelings only make sense when the noise fades. This is love in a low light, not the dream we used to chase. No perfect words, no grand design, just this space. It's the kind that stays quiet, doesn't ask to be seen. It's what survives the long goodbye. Love in low light. Maybe love was never meant to shine the way we thought it should. Maybe it learns to live in shadows once it's understood. If this is all we are right now, if this is where we land, then let me hold what's still alive with a careful hand. This is love in a low light, where nothing has to be explained, no illusions left to break. doesn't ask for more. It just lets us be. And maybe that's enough now for you and me.
The night is quieter than before, like it's listening to us now. We said these words 1,000 times, still don't know how. Your coat's still hanging by the door, my heart's still on the line. We stand between the truth we know and what we leave behind. Learn how not to ask too much, how to read the warning signs. We learn how love can wear a face that changes over time. I don't need to be forgiven, I don't need to be right. I just need to understand what keeps you here tonight. I'm not asking for a miracle or a promise we can't keep. I just need one honest moment before we sleep. Give me one less reason to believe in us again. Not forever, not perfection, just something that won't end tonight. If love still has a heartbeat, if it still knows my name, give me one less reason to stay. Carried years we never planned, said things we wish we hadn't said. We've learned how distance fills a room long before a word is said. I see it when you look at me, that pause before you speak, like you're searching for the truth you're afraid to keep. I won't tell you this is easy, I won't dress it up as faith. I know how love can ask too much when it's already late. But if there's still a part of you that feels what I still feel, then maybe this is worth the risk, worth keeping real. We don't need to solve it all, we don't need to make a plan. All I need is something true I can understand. Give me one last reason not to let this fade away. Not a vow, not a guarantee, just a reason to stay. If we're tired, let us rest. If we're broken, let us bend. Give me one last reason to believe again. Maybe love doesn't need answers, maybe it just needs time. Maybe it survives on honesty more than perfect lines. If walking away is easier, for our best. Give me one last reason to hold on through the night. Not because we're meant to be, but because this still feels right. I don't need tomorrow promised, I don't need to know when. Just give me one last reason, and I'll stay until the end. If love is only what we choose, wouldn't it be easier to run? Then give me one last reason now, just one.
We stood there longer than we should, like time forgot what to do. Every word we almost said felt dangerous and true. We've been here before, I know, at the edge of what we are. Too close to walk away clean, too far to start again. We tried to make it simple once, tried to call it right or wrong, but love was never built for lines you can stand on very long. We smiled like nothing mattered much, like this was easy to defend, but nothing real ever lets you go with an easy ending. I don't need to win tonight, I don't need to prove who's right. I just need to know if you still feel what's keeping us alive. There's no easy ending for a love like this, not with all these years between us, not after every kiss. You don't walk away untouched, you don't leave without a scar. Some stories fade in silence, ours just breaks your heart. Learn how to be careful now, how to say just enough. We've learned how to call it letting go when it still hurts too much. I see it when you turn away, that look you try to hide, like you're already halfway gone, but something makes you stay. I won't tell you this is easy, I won't say we'll be okay, I won't dress this up in pretty words to make the feeling fade. If love is standing right here now, between the truth and fear, then let it be exactly what it is, unclear. We don't need a final line, we don't need to pretend. Some love doesn't end with closure, it just bends. There's no easy ending when love still knows your name, when walking away
then let me say this honestly, I still understand. There's no easy ending, no gentle way to fall, not when love still lives inside the silence after all. If this is where we part our ways, if this is how it ends, then let it end with truth. There was no easy end. Some loves don't fade, they don't resolve or mend, they just stay with you quietly